you've ever wondered how Europe managed to rob an entire continent and still call it civilization, let me introduce you to the Berlin Conference, where white men sat around a table and divvied up Africa like it was a damn potluck.
Africa has been the provider. If you look at Europe, Europe cannot survive without Africa. One situation that people don't realize, post-World War, when the US came up with the Marshall Plan, what they don't tell you is that the contribution through exploitation of African minerals was actually the biggest funder of the European Recovery Plan.
And that your oppressor would dismantle his big international economic apparatus in order to bring social reform to you or anyone else. When he put up the apparatus with your labor and with your blood and used your labor as the seed money to erect the structure of capitalism.
It's 1884 in Berlin.
And they started. In January 1961, they assassinated Patrice Emery Lumumba, and Congo has never been the same again.
Major European powers, Britain, France, Belgium, Germany, Portugal, Spain, and more, are gathering. They're not trying to stop war or famine, though. They're there to divvy up Africa.
In 1963, they assassinated Sylvanus Olympio in Togo, and Togo has never been the same again.
They laid out maps, drew lines through kingdoms, tribes, entire civilization, with zero regard for language, culture, religion, history, or humanity.
Why is Haiti suffering so much?
Haiti is spiraling into chaos, so much so that it's being described as a humanitarian crisis. The country has a long history of corruption and poverty.
And why are my Haitian brothers under so much pressure? You know why? Because they stand up against the giant who they should have bowed to, and they refuse.
Right.
And everyone wants them to bow. Haiti, do not bow. Keep standing up. We stand with you.
Why? Because Africa had gold. They had rubber, diamonds, coffee, land, and most importantly, they had black labor.
Africa, historically, sub-Saharan Africa, has been fundamental to the global prosperity of the advanced countries. And Africa had a role to play. It has a role as a raw material producer. We will not allow sub-Saharan Africa to escape that. Okay, we do everything to keep sub-Saharan Africa where it is, also impoverished. It's absolutely vital for the prosperity of everyone else.
This wasn't about ending conflict. It was about making sure they didn't fight each other while stealing from everyone else.
What kind of contradictions exist in Black life?
Or the contradiction of thinking that your oppressor will participate in your liberation.
And the results? Chaos, destruction, whole nations ripped in half.
Africa was home to powerful kingdoms and advanced societies. The Ashanti Empire thrived in West Africa, trading gold and maintaining a strong military. In the east, the Ethiopian Empire, led by Emperor Johannes IV, maintained its independence. The Zulu Kingdom, under King Cetshwayo, had fought fiercely against British invaders. The Kingdom of Dahomey had strong warriors, and the Sokoto Caliphate governed vast lands with Islamic laws. African societies had their own systems of governance, trade routes, and alliances.
Rival tribes forced under one flag, nomadic people forced to settle, peaceful ones forced to fight.
Then there were coup d'etats. Kwame Nkrumah himself, in 1966, eliminated via coup d'etat. All his writings, all his speeches banned, never to be read, never to be listened to until 1972, when Ignatius Kutu Acheampong rehabilitated him.
And the birth of artificial borders that still fuel civil wars to this day.
Ahmed Ben Bella in Algeria gone.
This is how Congo ended up in the hands of Belgium under King Leopold.
In Nigeria, Nnamdi Azikiwe and Abubakar Tafawa Balewa gone.
Who turned it into a personal slave state and unalived over 10 million people for rubber.
And a lot of our companies are in both of these countries now, especially since we've been getting along so well. It's probably the way we were brought together, and we have a lot of our big companies are there. between rare earth and all of the other things that they do in Africa, which is very greatly expanding, especially in these two countries.
10 million people in exchange for rubber.
In Mali, Modibo Keita gone.
This is how Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, Rwanda, Sudan, you name it, became European projects, not African home.
In Chad, everywhere, coup d'etat.
And let's be real, the Berlin Conference didn't just create colonies. It created dependence, exploitation, and long-term sabotage.
Here in Ethiopia, 1974, if I'm not wrong, coup d'etat and the emergence of the Derg regime.
The kind that leaves countries developing forever because somebody already developed off of their backs.
In East Africa, Uganda coup d'etat, mutinies in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania in 1971.
The Berlin Conference was never about building nations. It was about breaking them before they ever even had a chance. So when you keep hearing people ask, why is Africa still struggling? Tell them it's because they were never given a fair shot.
Are there bookshops in Nigeria?
I think it reflects very poorly on French people, but you have to ask me that question.
It's such good English. Where did you learn to speak so beautifully? Educated where?
Out here in Zimbabwe, they got a grocery store.
Just a white man's ruler and a deadline. So say it plain, the Berlin Conference wasn't history. It was organized looting, and the world still hasn't recovered.
Okay, Sarah, I mean, how much gold is here?
This is one of 9 gold vaults that we have here at the bank. There's about 400,000 gold bars stored here, and collectively they're worth about £250 billion.
Why Pan-Africanism isn't what you think it is. Lately, I've seen a lot of posts on X, formerly Twitter, dragging Pan-Africanism. People calling it outdated, fake, or just something American activists made up.
See, those people coming in from Jamaica or coming in from Africa, they have not been treated like black folk in this country. That's the first thing. And secondly, historically, they haven't had those historical experiences. They come in here voluntarily. When they come in here, they bring some cultural aspects from Africa. They can go back anytime they want. But the black people in this country have been exceptional people. Nobody's been mistreated, maltreated like them. The black folk are exceptional. They're the only people that came here forcefully. One. 2, they're the only people that denied their humanity. 3, they were the only people denied a right to enjoy the fruits of their labor. 4, they were the only people denied the right to participate in government. 5, they were the only people denied the right to vote. 6, they were the only people denied the right to have an education. 7, they were the only people denied the right to have a business. 8, they were the only people that participated in every war that this country has had since its founding, but whose mother country has never been against this country. All those immigrants come from countries where they fought America, and they came in. And the 7, that they are the oldest and most patriotic people in the country.
But here's the thing. Pan-Africanism didn't start in America. And it's definitely not just about wearing kente cloth or shouting slogans. In Africa, it's a whole different story. So today, let's set the record straight.
I asked him what it was that the African really wanted.
The Africans want the franchise on the basis of one man, one vote. They want political independence.
Every African should have pride to be an African as a citizen. We're not divided by culture, nor by history, but by borders drawn without our consent.
People must always come first in any process of sustainable development. And let our Africans come first in the development of Africa, not as puppets, not as beggars, but as a sovereign people. I thank you.
Now, if Dr. Verwoerd's government doesn't give you the kind of concessions that you want sometime soon, is there any likelihood of violence?
There are many people who feel that the reaction of the government to our stay at home, ordering a general mobilization, arming the white community, arresting 10,000s of Africans, the show of force throughout the country, Notwithstanding our clear declaration that this campaign is being run on peaceful and non-violent lines, close the chapter as far as our methods of political struggle are concerned. There are many people who feel that it is useless and futile for us to continue talking peace and non-violence against a government whose reply is only savage attacks on an unarmed and defenseless people. And I think the time has come for us to consider, in the light of our experiences in this stay at home, whether the methods which we have applied so far are adequate.
In the United States, Pan-Africanism often gets painted as a radical or even dangerous word. Why? Well, part of it goes back to the Cold War. Pan-African leaders in Africa, like Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana or Julius Nyerere of Tanzania, were pushing for unity and independence from colonial powers. Many of them leaned towards socialism, or at least anti-imperial politics. To the United States leaders, that was threatening. At the same time, inside America, Pan-African ideas got linked to Black Power movements that demanded real freedom, not just integration. And so the establishment labeled it as separatist or extremist. This stigma stuck, even though the core message is simply Black people around the world deserve liberation, unity, and dignity. Now let's flip the lens. In Africa, Pan-Africanism isn't a slur.
Opposition parties in Ethiopia's northern Tigray region have claimed that up to 52,000 people have died in 3 months of conflict between the federal government and forces loyal to the Tigray People's Liberation Front, the region's former ruling party.
It's a vision of unity. In the 1950s and 60s, it was the driving force behind liberation movements. Leaders like Kwame Nkrumah in Ghana and Patrice Lumumba in Congo saw that no African nation could stand strong alone after centuries of colonial exploitation. Pan-Africanism meant building solidarity across borders, which led to the founding of the Organization of African Unity in 1963. What we now call the African Union. It wasn't just politics either. It was cultural, reclaiming African identity, history, and pride through centuries of being told Africa was inferior. So while in the United States, the word Pan-Africanism got demonized, in Africa, it became a roadmap for freedom. So who are non-American Pan-Africanist leaders who shaped American civil rights? That's something a lot of people don't realize. American civil rights leaders didn't invent Pan-Africanism. They were influenced by non-American Pan-Africanists. Let's name a few. Marcus Garvey of Jamaica. His Back to Africa movement in the early 20th century shaped Black pride worldwide. Malcolm X's parents were Garveyites. Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana, a fierce believer in continental unity. He was close with W.E. Du Bois, and his vision inspired Black leaders in the United States to see themselves as connected to all Black global struggles. Patrice Lumumba of Congo, his assassination in 1961 became a rallying cry for activists in America. It exposed how Western powers were willing to destroy African leadership to maintain control. Then we had Haile Selassie of Ethiopia. His fight against Mussolini's invasion made Ethiopia a symbol of Black sovereignty. His speeches inspired Black Americans long before Rastafarianism grew around him. Frantz Fanon of Montanique, Algeria, his book The Wretched of the Earth became a handbook for the Black Panthers and SNCC organizers. Fanon explained the psychology of colonization in a way that spoke directly to Black Americans facing Jim Crow. Then we had Julius Nyerere of Tanzania. His ideas about African socialism and self-reliance echoed in Black liberation struggles across the Atlantic. And intellectuals like George Padmore and C.L.R. James from Trinidad provided the theory and analysis that linked colonial freedom abroad with racial justice in America. So when you look at Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, or the Panthers, you're also seeing the fingerprints of Pan-African leaders from Africa and the Caribbean. So why does it still matter? The next time you see someone on X saying Pan-Africanism is fake or just an American fantasy, remember, in Africa it builds nations. In the Caribbean it built pride. And in the United States it built a bridge between civil rights and the global Black liberation. Pan-Africanism isn't a bad word. It's a legacy of unity and resistance, and a reminder that Black freedom has always been global. So, drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Pan-Africanism still has power today? Or has it been watered down? And if you learned something new about its real roots, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe so more people can get the real story.
There are 54 countries on the continent of Africa that are Black countries. There are 16 in the Caribbean that are Black countries. That means out of 195 countries in the world, 70 are Black countries. Yet not one of those 70 countries has a nuclear weapon. Not one has built weapons of mass destruction to threaten the world. Not one has ever invaded another land to steal, conquer, or enslave. Think about that. Our ancestors left nothing behind that the world can point to with shame. No genocide, no mass shootings, no record of crossing oceans to chain other nations. We are the children of the only race that never tried to wipe out another people. Yet look at us today. We are the most oppressed, the most exploited, the most humiliated and silenced on this earth. We are blamed for poverty caused by stolen wealth. We are told to heal from wounds that were never allowed to close. We are told to move on, to forget, to forgive. While those who enslaved us still live in the comfort built from our stolen labor. They call us violent. They call us dangerous. But we, the only race that has never unleashed war upon others, remain the most victimized on this planet. And somehow, despite centuries of chains, whips, guns, and lies, we still rise each morning. We still pray. We still smile. We still hope. We are what the United Nations has been searching for. A people of peace, yet this world refuses to give us peace in return. And that is the saddest part of all.